Hello everybody and welcome back to the TripleJump podcast. It's a video game podcast. My name is Ben.
And my name is Ashton.
Good morning, Ashton.
Good morning. Peter's still got the holiday
So you're going to call me Peter then. Good morning, Peter's
Good morning,
not here.
Peter's not here.
No, he's still on his holiday.
Yeah.
Very happy for him.
Yes.
Hope he's having a great time.
Yeah.
He's in a castle at the moment, I think. Or
Is he?
He was near.
He wouldn't tell us where he was going. He wouldn't tell me as if I was going to tell his wife. He took his wife away for her birthday as like a special gift, and he was like, I'm gonna not tell you where I'm going. And I'm like, okay.
Ashton Matthews.
What am I gonna do?
If he told you.
Yeah. I wouldn't tell his wife.
Would you not?
No.
You sure?
I don't speak to Amy enough to be like, I know we're going on holiday.
Okay.
It would only be like if I bumped into her in the street, which is very unlikely to happen because I don't go outside. So
That's interesting though. Well, I don't want to drive a wedge between your best friend and you.
I know.
But he told me. That's all I'm going to say.
I don't know why he wouldn't tell me.
Esteemed colleague. I've leveled up. I'm not a friend yet, but I've gone up a bit. I'm a 4-star colleague.
Maybe we're in a fight and I just don't know. But maybe it's because I called that capybara my new best friend.
Oh my God.
Maybe
Yeah, he
that's
was
why he
actually
won't tell
really,
me, but-
yeah, you posted that on social media. He got very upset about it. He did reply and
but
say.
But that capybara is my friend in Japan.
Right.
You know, I can't just pop round to see that.
So is Peter never allowed to go to Japan?
He can.
Right.
I like all my friends to be friends. But
Okay.
yeah, I don't know where he is. He's near a castle, is he?
Well,
Near a castle.
I don't want to say, I will tell you, but I don't want to say just in case someone quickly drives there and beats him
But
up.
I think he's back by the time the podcast goes.
He went to Blenheim Palace.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah.
I think maybe he did tell me that.
Yeah, I didn't think it was a big secret.
But for a while he wasn't telling me.
Oh, okay. Well, they went to Blenheim Palace and then I think they did a spa thing as well. Do you know
The
about
spa thing was first, I think.
So
and
you
then
did know about that?
Yeah, I knew about that.
And you think you know about Blenheim Palace?
It sounds roughly familiar, but maybe he just mentioned it, but he didn't actually tell me.
So you're
I just
not really listening to your
remember
best
him
friend, are
going,
you?
I'm not going to tell anyone. And I was like, okay, that's fine. So
you do know.
now I know for sure.
We hope he's having a great time, though.
Yeah.
I'm going to Japan soon. Have I said that?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yep.
Not going to say where I'm going.
No.
Then. It's a secret. I actually showed you my full
Yeah,
itinerary.
you showed me your Japan a minute ago.
Before we started recording.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that.
That's going to be great.
Yeah, I'm excited. It feels very real now.
Yeah.
It's only a week and a bit away.
Yeah.
And you know what the thing I'm most excited for?
What?
Free booze on the plane.
I only got 2 glasses
on the
of
no-fly
wine.
list. That is my goal.
You'll just fall asleep after a while.
Yeah, probably. It's a
Yeah.
long flight. And I've never been on a flight. Well, I have been on a flight that long, but when I was an infant. I haven't been on a flight this long as an adult.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, the idea of because I have a family member who flew out to visit the other family member that lives in Japan at the moment. And they were telling me that they felt a bit hard done by because they stocked up on snacks and drinks and stuff in advance, which is a good idea. And you should do that anyway. But then they saw that people around them, sort of like a shy Ben's getting out kind of deal. Like we're like, oh, can we have a glass of wine, please?
Yeah.
And they just brought them a glass of wine without asking for payment and snacks without asking for payment. And it was, and they were like, oh,
I got a bit mugged off on my flight back.
I could have had that this whole time and I didn't know.
Yeah, I got a bit mugged off on my flight back because for one meal they offered us wine on the car, and I was like, yes, I'll have a glass of wine, please. And then the next meal they didn't offer us wine, but then I looked over the other aisle and they had wine on their car, and I was like, what's gone on here then? I've been right mugged off. And then Ben was like, do you want me to go ask for a glass of wine? I was like, no, I'm not that desperate for a glass of wine.
Cowards, you should have done.
I just woke up from a nap. I didn't need
I need my morning juice. Yeah, I think it certainly seems to be a case of they will do everything they can not to give it to you.
Yeah.
But if you ask, they have to give to it.
Yeah.
So I'm going in there fully. My full intention is, yes, keep them coming, please. I have paid too much money for this flight.
Yeah.
How much can it possibly cost to fly a plane?
Yeah.
Truly.
It's like that one time I was
Come
in
on.
first class on an LNER train, and I was like, I'm getting
All the
my
sandwiches.
money's worth.
Yeah.
I was like, I paid an extra £11 on my ticket. You bet your ass I'm getting £11 worth of wine plus the rest.
Hell yeah.
I think I did. I think I drank like 5 glasses of wine
That's
in a
great.
2.5 hour window.
That's really impressive.
And after the 4th one, they swapped like staff. So on my last glass of wine, they were like, have you got any idea? I was like, I'm 4 wines deep.
Yeah.
Are you going to really stop me now?
It's too late. This is a bad look for you already.
Yeah.
Don't make it
You didn't
worse.
ask me before. Now you're asking, and you're going to make a mistake when you find out I'm 17. No, I was 26.
You forgot how old you were at that point. Yeah, I'm going to take the piss. Basically, that's my goal. And yeah, I might not be allowed home.
Oh well, there's worse places to
Just go
get
hang
stuck.
out with the capybara.
Yeah.
I'll be his best friend. This is actually our video game podcast.
Would you believe?
I don't know if you knew that. Each and every week, we're sponsored by a very real video game adjacent sponsor. Helps us keep the Bulbot in this office.
Yeah.
I haven't seen Dead Island 2 The Spider since last
There's
week.
a spider in the toilet.
Is that where he's gotten to?
Yeah, it's perving on the ladies again.
Oh, for God's sake, Dead Island 2 The Spider. So he's gone from our downstairs studio to the toilets.
Mm-hmm.
He's gone the wrong way. He needed to make a right out of the door and he's gone left.
Yeah.
What an idiot.
I know. I think he's just getting a bit turned around. He only travels every few days. So.
I think we need to bring him in here. I know I spoke about it last week, but I think we need to bring the spider in here. And just
Okay, I'm not doing
loose.
that.
Okay, well, I'll do it after the podcast.
All right,
It's
sure.
a public service. Everyone will appreciate having him in here.
Yeah.
Podcast's always better to have another person in the corner just watching us
Just
up there.
hanging out.
Or over there.
Yeah.
He does choose his spots. I'm looking around just in case, but he's definitely not here.
I
I have...
spiders' webs in here too.
No, there aren't.
No, there's loads of them.
Oh, there are, sorry.
Yeah.
But there's been no spiders in
No.
there for ages.
Just webs.
Just rubbish.
Yeah.
I have the ad read in front of me here. Next week, Ashton, I don't know if you heard, but there's like a big expedition about to take place.
Yeah.
They're
Okay.
going on an adventure.
Yeah.
However, that's not until next week.
Yeah.
And that, of course, is going on Game Pass, among other platforms. I'm excited to tell you that we can go on this adventure right now,
Oh my gosh.
but it's slightly different
Okay.
because Claire's not available until next week.
Right.
Deirdre, however, she's here
Okay.
and she's ready to go.
Yeah.
So it's a little sad if you know what happens in Claire Obscure Expedition 33. and
Yeah.
that they're the 33rd expedition.
Yeah.
So they are sort of doomed. But if you want to, you can travel with Deirdre Obscure Expedition 32.
Okay.
So you can go on the expedition before 33.
Yeah.
Now, as we know, the reason for the 33rd expedition
It's
is
because the 30-second one failed.
didn't work.
Yeah.
But Deirdre will do her best.
Yeah.
So my advice to you, and I know we're being paid to talk about this, so I shouldn't really say this,
Yeah.
but like I'm going to be real with you all.
Yeah.
My advice would be to wait until you can attend the expedition that could be successful, rather because no one wants to go on the one that's going to fail, right?
Yeah.
That's
You
embarrassing.
know
isn't
you're
it?
going to die.
That's kind of embarrassing. And
Yeah.
you spoilers, you know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
They're all going to die.
Yeah.
But if you really can't wait, Deirdre's there. She's ready.
She's got you covered.
And she will look after you until Claire shows up next week.
I don't know if Claire is an actual person.
Oh, she's got to be.
I don't.
She's Claire from Claire Obscure. Why would they call her
I don't
that?
know if there is a Claire in Claire Obscura.
Well, we're just going to have to find out, aren't we? I can tell you there's a Deirdre,
Yeah, that's true.
so I could ask her.
That's true. You should ask her because they
When
must be
I-
related, right? If they've got the same surname.
Sure, yeah, Deirdre and Claire
Cousins.
Obscure, the Obscures, yeah.
Yeah.
So of the Obscure dynasty.
Yeah.
So when I go on Expedition 32,
Yeah.
I'll ask Deirdre.
Yeah.
But it is doomed, so I may not be able to get word back to you.
Yeah.
So then you're just going to have to go.
I don't
and...
think you should go on it.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it's not real,
Oh, well, that's good then.
thankfully. So we can all cross
Well,
our
how
fingers.
will we ever know if Claire's in Claire
Well, we're just going to have to go for Claire Obscure. If the end boss is Claire Obscure, I'm going to be so cross. Can you imagine if that's what it is?
We've got to fight Claire.
No, it's Claire off of Claire
That's
Obscure.
just someone's mum's name.
It is Claire Obscure,
Yeah.
Miss Obscure.
Yeah.
No, we're not sponsored by Deirdre Obscure Expedition 32. We are, of course, sponsored by our wonderful patrons over at patreon.com/Team TripleJump. If you go and support us there, you can ask questions on this podcast, get early access to worst and weirdest games, exclusive access to episodes of Rules Boss and Main Menu, and so much more. Thank you very much, patrons. We love you terribly. TripleJump is our website. There you can find links
true.
to everything that we do, our YouTube, our Twitch, our Discord, if you want a cameo from us. TripleJumpShop.com is where you can get some cool merch. I'm doubled up today. You've got nothing.
None on.
I've got my track jacket and I've got my
T-shirt.
limited time. It's never been a more exciting time to be a gamer shirt. So, yeah,
It's a good shirt.
decked out.
Yeah.
And what else was I going to say? Patreon.com/Team TripleJump once again. Thank you so much to our patrons. This week, relatively quiet one on the channel. All the usual stuff's going up, of course, and we've been streaming all week. But next week, it should be a Worst Games Ever week.
Yes.
And it's a good one. So be excited for that. Ashton, it's time for question 1.
Oh, that's great news.
I'm reading it, aren't I?
Yeah.
Because the little one's not here.
Yeah.
This is a question from Tea Drinker 3000.
The robot.
Hello.
Hello.
I'm a brand new patron, so sorry if this has been asked before. Is there a particular event/trend in the industry any of you would like to see happen by the end of 2025? Thanks, guys, and congrats, Ashton, on the engagement. I got engaged myself last November.
Oh my gosh. Congrats on your engagement too.
Congratulations on your engagement. Thank you so much for becoming a patron. We appreciate you.
Yes.
Ashton, what do you want to see happen in the industry before the end of the year?
Well, this might be wishful thinking, but one trend I would like to see take off this year is that games are cheaper. It might happen. It might happen.
You reckon?
No.
Ashton?
I don't think it's going to. I would like it to, though. Because unfortunately, the trend is that the games are getting more expensive. And that is something I cannot abide by. So, yeah, fingers crossed.
Knocking on wood.
Yeah. I don't have a specific one in mind, but it would be really nice to see a games conference come back.
Mm-hmm.
Just like an in-person event we could all go to and talk about how much we love games.
Yeah.
I would love a convention of some kind. It would be lovely. Insomnia died. E3 died.
Yeah.
Gamescom obviously is still alive, but I worry about her.
I worry about her
because she's great and she has a lot of people going to it, but she's like the last standing.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean Tokyo Game Show as well, but Gamescom in terms of the scale.
Yeah.
I'm just worried about Miss Gamescom and what's going to happen to her.
Mm-hmm.
So I would like just a few more to pop up supporting characters in the convention space because I feel like we need them again. We need to bring some community back to the gaming world. I feel like there's a real lack of community that's happening at the moment, and it would be really nice to bring some of that back. And maybe it's partially because there's no in-person events anymore. Maybe it's the state of the world. But hey, it would be nice to attempt to bring some community back to gamers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I echo that sentiment.
Mm-hmm.
I've put bring back E3.
Yeah.
And I know that there was some rumblings recently.
Yeah.
E3, like a zombified hand shot out of the ground, the grave of E3. I don't think it will ever be what it was.
No.
And that makes me sad because the in-person stuff, I don't really care. Don't need it. What I loved about E3 is that all the big boys rolled up their sleeves and started leathering the crap out of each other. That's what was fun. The fact that at 10 p.m. it's Nintendo, and then straight after it's PlayStation, and then Xbox is tomorrow at 4 a.m. And then Bethesda's got one, Activision's doing one, EA's doing. It was just so exciting.
Yeah.
Every year to see all these different conferences and the snark online, and the snark is fun.
Yeah.
That's what we do.
Yeah.
And that still lives on through Jeffrey's big game jamborees.
Yeah.
But it's not quite as...
It's not the same, is it?
Yeah, because tribalism, it's over. We don't care about that anymore. If you're still being tribalismistic about your platform choice, then it's a bit embarrassing.
It's a bit cringe.
You can still have your preferences, of course, but don't attack others over it. But I think the tribalism at the time definitely played into it because it was Billy's fallen.
Billy.
Because it was okay, Team PlayStation. Come on, PlayStation. We've seen what Xbox could do. Go kick their asses, PlayStation. And it felt like there were real stakes involved. Whereas now it's the PlayStation State of Play will be 30 minutes long and it's going to be all about Destiny 3. And it's just snort. It's just proper snooze fest.
Yeah.
It's fine. It does its job.
PlayStation do not know how to do a good showcase.
No, they don't. Not at all. And it's been that way for a while. And there's something about having awkward executives up on stage that I miss.
Bring back the cringe.
Also, the personalities as well. I want that. Jack Tretton going back to those days, former PlayStation man, always seemed like he came across really well in that he didn't seem massively confident. He felt very uncomfortable, but like you sort of
endearing in a way.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then Sean Layden was great as well. Like he was always really good at PSX and stuff when that used to run. Like I just miss I miss E3. I miss when all that stuff was going off at the same time. And yeah, Jeffrey's doing a fine job.
Yeah.
But he is but one man.
Yeah.
And
we still do get some cringe. You know, he brings some executive on stage and you're like, what's this guy doing here? And then they just bumble through a little conversation and then they play the trailer. Yeah. Or he gets random celebrity who does not want to be there to be on the stage and talk about a game. And you're like, what's he doing here? What does he want?
The Muppets.
The Muppets are here.
The Muppets and the executives are, I think they're the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same energy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Just
no,
unwelcome.
You're right though.
So
bring back those
more
events.
of that. I want to be staying up late with my friends on like on a Skype call, watching them and just just laughing and like, oh, that looks so cool, man. It's like it. I just don't get as excited anymore.
Yeah.
Is it a me problem? Possibly, but it's also I feel like this industry's just ground everyone down. You know, they've really they make it hard to be excited about games sometimes. They really do. It's their favorite thing.
Yeah.
Another thing I'd quite like to see. It's never going to happen. It's not even remotely realistic, any of this stuff. But the magic of magazines is restored.
Oh, yeah.
Now, I appreciate that would be at the expense of
Print
basically
media.
all online stuff. But I do miss magazines and like being excited to get the new one and see the reviews and the latest news and stuff. And there are some blurry, terrible screenshots of a game that's never going to come out, but it stays in your mind forever because you saw it in a magazine. I miss that. The final thing, though, is that I'd love it if internet vitriol just died down a bit.
But I think you're asking for too much there, Ben.
Yeah, I think so, too. It's definitely gotten worse. Video game discourse online has always been toxic.
Yeah.
But now that we've seen that toxicity spill over into literally every aspect of existing online, I mean, shout out to the games industry, real trailblazers there, quite frankly.
Ahead of the
like,
curve
yeah, exactly. But it's like it's just inescapable, and it will just be nice to enjoy games.
Hey, it would be nice if people just like let people have opinions.
Yeah, it's
like,
fine.
I really like this game where the woman is the main character, and that's okay that you don't like it, but don't be weird about it. All right, be normal.
It's
please.
not possible. Unfortunately, it's not possible.
Gamers be normal challenge impossible.
Yeah, that's never going to happen.
Do you know what else I'd like?
What's that?
A trend in like, you know how we saw like the live service trend and that kind of thing? I would really like a couch co-op trend. I would like that to happen. I would like people to see how successful things like Split Fiction have been and be like, man, maybe we should try doing that.
Yeah.
I would like that because I love a couch co-op game and there are so few out there and so like few studios trying that it would be amazing to have more of that.
It would. Do you reckon, what level of split screen are we going to get in Borderlands 4, do you think? Are they, because they were really the last bastions for a long time of like forcing that stuff in there.
I would assume it will be very similar to what we've had in previous years.
Do you reckon they'll even bother with 4-way, or will it just be 2?
I think they will, because I think that they will, if they can make it work, because the issue with 3 was that it wouldn't always run.
No.
2, let alone 4. But I feel
Did
like...
it do 4?
Yeah, I think
Did 3
so.
do 4?
I'm not sure.
I might have to check that. I feel like it maybe was just...
I think it did. I have like a vague recollection that maybe it did do 4, but I'm not sure. But it would be good to have the option. I would never play in 4-player, but somebody might. And I think that they would be remiss to remove that from the game. Did it do 4?
I'm nearly there. I'm looking at Reddit now.
Okay.
Here we go.
Okay.
In a tweet from the official Borderlands Twitter account, it was said that Borderlands 3 will now support 4K 60 FPS gameplay. Okay, great. The game will now also allow for 4-player split screen on the Xbox Series X and PlayStation 5. So maybe not on PS4, but they added it. For better or worse, and there's an awful lot of worse when it comes to Randy Pitchford, right?
Absolutely.
I feel like this is the kind of thing where he would dig his heels in and go, no, split screen is important. We need to make that happen. So potentially we get 2-player split screen
Yeah.
and maybe 4-player at some point.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I don't
God,
know.
it would run awfully.
It would
but,
run like ass, absolutely.
Yeah. I just have such fond memories of playing Borderlands 2 in
Yeah, I
in
played a
4-player
lot
split
of
screen. It's great.
Borderlands 1 in split screen, and it would be really good to. I just think it's good fun to have the option to do it.
Yeah.
So
Agreed. Good points. We would solve the industry, I think. We'd just fix it.
I think so too. I think with our level-headedness and our really good ideas, we can fix the world.
If you gave us a team of people who could make literally anything happen
Yeah.
and unlimited money,
Yeah.
we could change the world.
I think so.
If we just had to say, do that without having to think through any of the logistics at all,
Yeah.
fixed.
We just had to do what
Sorted.
CEOs do and say, I want this. And then everyone else's job to try and make that happen.
Yeah.
That's what we'd need.
And then like Randy, you just click your fingers and a puff of smoke and
a rabbit appears.
And a rabbit, yeah. A pigeon flies off. Not a dove.
No, a pigeon.
A pigeon.
Yeah.
It's now time for, what is this, Ashton?
A new segment
Okay.
that I thought we could try just before Peter gets back. And then if we like it, we can introduce him to it next week.
Okay.
It's called What We Playin.
All right, then. It's What We Play in time. Time to talk about the games, what we've been playing. Ashton Matthews, what have you been playing?
I've played a few things this week. I've played some more Assassin's Creed Shadows. I am really enjoying that game. I think I'm ruining it for myself. I'm doing that thing where like...
Oh, the 100% completionist.
Yeah, I'm seeing the question marks and I'm seeing the castles and I'm seeing the like various things I need to do. And I'm like, hey, I'm going to spend an hour clearing out this castle because I feel the need to. And then I do the story. I'm just getting around to doing the story mission. I've like assassinated my first target and I've been playing for like 10 hours.
Whoa.
I still
Did you have
haven't...
gold-plated armor?
No. I still haven't gone back to playing as the samurai yet. Again, I think it's a me problem. I think I would have had I not been faffing around. But unfortunately, I'm a certified faffer. So I have...
Ashton Matthews.
Yeah. I haven't gone back and played as him yet in whatever progression I need to do to play as him. I do find that like the settlements aren't as... I don't find it as satisfying to clear out the settlements and stuff because a lot of them are just... You can go in there and clear it out and then send resources back to your hideout to improve your hideout. A lot of it isn't sort of like, once this is clear, it's gone. They keep coming back and you can keep going back there to get some stone or whatever it is, which is fine, but it's just a lot of sort of less satisfying knowing it's sort of never going to be finished, if that makes sense. But I'm going to keep playing that game and trudging through it for as long as it takes me.
Trudge
or
is a very enthusiastic
I say
word.
trudge. It's my fault, I think. I need to like make a conscious effort to be like head towards actual missions because I am just faffing about and that is not really... I'm not enjoying the faffing that I am doing. I'm blaming
Right.
myself entirely for this. I also think it's funny like that. So there's a seasons mechanic in that as you play, new seasons will happen and the environment will change. Winter will be snowy and stuff. But the thing that's like really sort of throwing me off is that you can end the seasons early if you need to have your scouts back. So your scouts get pick up resources from the castles. You can send them out to find out specifically where your mission might be. You can get like a general area and then be like, go and scout this area. But you can like move the seasons ahead. So the thing I'm having is I'm like, God, I'm blasting through time right now. Like I have taken a year to just meander around the place and like not do any of the missions. If this is the rate of which I will complete the whole game, I'm going to be 70 years old in game by the time that this like happens. So that's kind of pulling me out a little bit. But again, I think it's a me problem. I think if I stopped faffing, I wouldn't be like just blasting through seasons. Like
but you've got to play it as you've got to play it a way that you, well, I suppose enjoy isn't the right word because you're not enjoying it.
I am enjoying it, but then I'm like, oh my God, I just spent an hour doing that and it's not anything. Like it's just, I haven't got enough scouts to send all the resources home. So I'm just going to send one or two. But it is fun and I am enjoying the assassinations. I really like playing as Nawe, as the shinobi, because it's really satisfying to sort of ninja about the place and throw blades at people. Like, it's good fun. I am enjoying myself. I just need to concentrate on the task in hand, I think. And the other thing I've been playing, and I am obsessed with this game, is Blueprints.
Okay, right. Tell me about Blueprints.
Oh my God, I'm having an amazing time. It's so good. I've got like notepads with notes on them because it encourages you to take and like have a notepad to write things down on. Because if you don't know what it is, essentially you are the grandson of this sort of eccentric rich man, and he has a mansion, and every day the mansion resets and the floor plans change, and the ability to go into different floor plans will shift depending on certain things. So every day you go in, you have 50 steps, which is basically 50 entries into rooms, and every time you go back into a room, that's another step taken off. If you're backtracking a lot, you're sort of not necessarily using all of your steps all the time. You can get more steps by going into bedrooms or eating food and stuff, but that is your limit of how much you can move around the mansion every day. So I think it's really interesting how they've done it. And every day the mansion changes, the rooms that you get offered are different. You might end up stuck because you've run out of keys or you've run out of diamonds, and it means you've kind of ended up with like dead ends all over the place. The main premise is you're trying to find room 46. That's what you're looking for. So there's 45 rooms on this mansion, and you're looking for room 46. And various things will appear, various keys, notes, information that you might need, safe codes. Different rooms have different things that they change. So if you have a boiler room, you can like send electricity out, and then that will potentially change things in other rooms. The more you play, the more areas you unlock and the things you have to sort of figure out. But it's really good. I've been really enjoying myself. I've got so many notes scrawled down. I don't know if any of them are useful. I'm just like writing down like, there is a white pawn in this room. Wonder if that will be useful. Maybe not. And then sometimes I'm figuring out puzzles and I'm like, I actually don't know what any of this means. So I'm Googling it to be like, am I being stupid? And they're like, no, it's fine. You just this is what this is referring to. And I'm like, okay, I didn't miss anything. I just thought, it would be more useful than it was. But yeah, I'm really enjoying myself. It plays really well, and it's a really interesting concept for a game. And I think it's a lot of good fun. If you like puzzles, you're going to like Blueprints. It's
nice.
Good stuff.
I've heard really good stuff about it. It feels like the kind of game that is absolutely not for me, but I admire it.
Yeah.
Nonetheless.
Yeah. Alex in the office has been playing it too, and he's like, I have a spreadsheet. He's like, I have a spreadsheet of notes and information.
That's great.
I've got a backbone recently. MB got me a backbone for my phone. So I've been like playing it all around the house. And I'm like, this might actually be a problem because this is a little bit too portable. Like at one point I was like in the middle of trying to solve something and I was like, I need to have a wee. So I was sat there like on the toilet, like playing the game. And then I came back in the bedroom and Ben was like, have you just been on the toilet playing your game? And I was like, No. And he was like, I can't believe this. So yeah, I've been playing on my phone and it's really good, man. It's a really good game.
How many hours in are you, do you think?
I don't know. I must have put a good few hours in. I must be about 10 hours in. I'm on like day 29. So
are there a certain amount of days? Or?
I don't think so. I think you can keep going until you figure it out. But
okay.
Yeah.
So you can just explore forever.
Well, yeah, because some days you might sort of get shafted by the like rooms you pick and it ends really quickly because you've just got no more rooms to explore after a while. There's no more doors to go through. So yeah, sometimes it ends a lot quicker than other days.
Okay.
So yeah, good fun. Thoroughly enjoy. It's on Game Pass and on PlayStation Plus.
Nice.
So if you're thinking of picking it up, I recommend.
Amazing. I played a few things.
Yeah.
I was with a group of. That sounds so vague. A group of people. We were just playing some party games.
Yeah.
And so I did some Stick Fight the Game.
Yeah.
Which is great fun.
A classic.
Yeah. Gang Beasts.
Yeah.
And a bit of Jackbox, which was nice as well. It's just some like simple stuff. We were getting to know my girlfriend's sister's new boyfriend.
I see.
So it was like, let's keep the stakes low.
Yeah,
let's not chuck him into Borderlands 3-4 split screen co-op. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that was lovely. You know, those games are just like, you can have infinite alcohol in your system and still have a great time playing those
and
games.
Jackbox is a good game to like suss someone out with. Like if they can't hit the vibe with the Jackbox game.
Playing it too safe or playing it too dangerous.
Yeah. You got to read if you can read the vibe of the room, then you might be in with a good shot.
You passed the Jackbox test.
Good.
It was good.
I'm
Everything
glad.
was fine there. So played those. That was lovely. Apart from that though, like I watched basically the equivalent of 4 or 5 movies worth of wrestling each week.
Jesus Christ.
It's a lot of wrestling.
Yeah.
And usually I'm not sat down watching it. It's just on
in
the background when I'm doing other stuff. But like I've been trying to dedicate actual attention to it because it's WrestleMania this weekend. So I want to know what's going on fully. And so some of my evenings have been set aside to like watch that. Okay, oh my God, it's 9:30. I am so tired. Why am I so tired? It's only 9:30. I'm going to bed. So I didn't really get the chance to play an awful lot other than that. But last night I did download and start playing Lost Records Bloom Rage Tape 2.
Oh, yes.
Which released a couple of days ago. And no one's talking about it.
No.
Which is a shame. It picks up...
It did also get delayed, which I think didn't help.
No, probably not.
Yeah.
I still remembered everything that happened last time because it wasn't that long ago, which is good. And it picks up like the day after the in-game events of where it ended. I'm going to finish it.
Yeah.
Again, like I like the style of gameplay. I enjoy the fact that the stuff that you're filming on your Handycam, it comes back up and is showed again in important moments and stuff. I like that. Still not sure about the characters. I think even because you flip between the present day and the past, the character you play as, like I've got nothing against the person who's playing the character, but certainly it seems the direction that was given or the style of character it is, it's just a bit like she's a bit of a loser. Like she's a bit too pathetic in places, like non-assertive to the extent where it's like, oh my God, just say something. A lot of and so I spit it out, please. Come on, let's move on.
Some people
continue.
have anxiety, Ben.
I know, and genuinely, I do get that. And this is a big, there's some real representation going on here, and I'm all for it. It's great. She does annoy me though a little bit, because I do want her to just sort of speed things up a little from time to time.
Yeah. I didn't finish the first tape.
Did you not?
There was no particular reason. I think I was playing it sort of in the middle ground between other things, and I've since not had the time to go back.
Now it's Assassin's Creed and Blueprints and stuff.
Yeah.
I immediately ran into exactly the same issue, but worse than I had in the first tape, where I was having a conversation with 2 characters who said multiple lines of dialogue on top of themselves at the same time. Like there were 2 sets of subtitles and everything. Like they were just speaking twice, both of them. So there were 4 conversations happening at the same time. It was like, I have no idea how this is even possible or why this is happening. Luckily with the subtitles, I'm able to keep up with what they're all saying, but it was like, my God, come on.
Gang.
Also, it's starting to maybe get a bit more interesting, because it felt like the first episode was all build up to a not very interesting cliffhanger. And this now is starting to do stuff that you would traditionally sort of associate with Life is Strange style games, like the dickhead characters, not even that, like the dickhead characters are, maybe you're starting to be able to influence them and change how they're looking at their situation and things, which was seemingly completely absent because these characters showed up very sparingly in the first half. So there wasn't a huge amount of conflict, which was a bit weird as well. The supernatural stuff is actually the thing that's sort of annoying me the most about this game.
Right.
And that there's clearly something quite weird going on, but they never really talk about it or address it in a way that makes it seem significant.
Right.
They're more concerned with what I think is the sort of not very interesting cliffhanger. It's like, hang on, my dudes. Something supremely supernatural happened and none of you are really that fazed or... And I don't know if it's going to, as the second part continues, there's going to be some aspect that explains why they're not really talking, but like some memory stuff. Or, I mean, I'm just spitballing here. But... It strikes me as really strange because it's clearly tapping into that Stranger Things type stuff.
Yeah.
Where if they saw something messed up and supernatural at the climax of an episode, you bet your ass they'd be talking about it immediately the next episode.
Yeah.
And they're just not real. They're sort of not really talking about it at all. And it seems really weird.
I feel like that's quite common of recent when it comes to like games and stuff. I feel like the amount of times I'm like, hey, that one thing was weird, and everyone seems to be totally fine with it. And I still think we should be talking about it. Like South of Midnight, I played on stream this week. And she's obviously like, this really weird stuff is happening to her. Yeah. And she's like, wow, that was weird. And I'm like, yeah, it is weird. And we should be reacting as such. Yeah, I think it seems quite common of recent to be like, whoa, this really life-changing thing is happening. Now. And they're like, oh, well. And I'm like, hey, guys, give me something. Yeah.
Because this supernatural stuff is what's most interesting to me. And it feels like it's taking such a back seat to things that are way less interesting than anything else. And that's a shame. And like, it's definitely ramping up the spook factor as well.
Yeah.
Because I thought it was maybe some sort of visual glitch in the first part, but it continued as it went on. And this isn't a spoiler in any way, but occasionally you just see a silhouette of someone, just like for a frame. You pan the camera around, there's a silhouette and it's gone. And it's like, oh, interesting.
Happening?
What does that mean? And that's happening more regularly.
Right.
So something's happening. Something has happened.
Yeah.
But I still don't think they're talking, like I'm noticing it as the player, but they're not noticing it as the character. And that's a weird, it's a weird disconnect.
Yeah.
I'm going to finish it because I do love games like this.
Yeah.
I enjoyed the most recent Life is Strange, even though I don't think it was very good, all told. Like, I enjoy playing games like this, so I'm going to finish it. But yeah, I'm a bit worried about this landing they're trying to stick and if it's going to be worth it. So we'll see. I'll continue playing. I got a lot of wrestling to watch this weekend.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I'm going to have time.
True.
You know?
I mean, it is a bank holiday, so there is, 2 extra days of a weekend.
Very true. I'll give it a go on Friday.
Yeah. This time now for question 2, which comes from We Carrot XO, whom I feel the need to apologise to.
Oh.
Because I consistently lurk in the Discord and often mention things that happen and things that people are talking about. Yeah. And it seems quite common that I'm talking about We Carrot when I'm mentioning things that are being discussed in Discord. And I'm sorry that I keep noticing you and talking about you. And then she
are they getting paranoid?
She was like, God, they keep talking about me on the podcast. And I'm like, I'm sorry. I'm just, you're just obviously saying the more interesting things. So
everyone needs to step up.
Yeah, step up, get on We Carrot's level. Anyway, they ask, hiya, whatever combination of BAP we're getting this week. And also, hello, James Jenkins.
Listening out for the response.
He's got his headphones on.
I can't hear you.
Yeah.
Sorry.
The price of the PlayStation 5 is now rising by £40 in the UK and €50 in Europe, taking it from cheaper than the Switch 2 to more expensive than the Switch 2. Do you think this is an isolated incident, or are we about to see price hikes across the industry? The price point of the Switch 2 has reportedly given Sony the quote-unquote green light to increase the console prices. So does this imply we're about to see an increase in physical game prices for the PlayStation 5 too? Are we about to get a similar announcement for the Xbox? Gaming is already rather prohibitively expensive for casual gamers, or perhaps people looking to get into the hobby, and it looks like prices are going to keep on hiking. Yours sincerely, We Carrot.
Thank you, We Carrot.
Yeah, it's not great, is it?
This is it
feel that huff in
where does it end?
My soul.
Why?
Because they can.
They said in a quote, because they're facing a difficult terrain or something like that. And it's like, you're full of crap.
Yeah.
If you're not selling as many as you'd like, could this be the reason why? Maybe? Because you already increased the price once?
Yeah.
Twice? At this point in the generation?
And also, there's no games for your console at the moment. You're not got any exclusives happening. No one's buying a PlayStation 5 Pro because there's nothing on there that anyone needs to buy a PlayStation 5 Pro for. I think this is a real scummy look from Sony.
Yeah.
It reads so bad, and I don't understand why they are doing this. The Switch 2 is already quite spenny when it comes to consoles. There's no longer a budget console that people can just get for the kids. You know, a Switch 2 is not a budget console anymore. Probably best bet is getting an Xbox Series S. that's probably your most budget console. I think there's a few reasons this is happening. I think Sony is seeing that Nintendo are putting their prices up, so they feel like their hardware is better than the Switch 2, so they're going to put theirs up. Xbox have clearly lost this console generation. There is no competition when it comes to the home console market. Unfortunately, the Xbox just didn't live up to what they hoped it would and no longer give Sony a real run for their money in the console department. And 3, they're doing this because they can, because they have the whole gamer sphere stuck under their thumb. I know that obviously people are Xbox gamers or Switch gamers, and that's fine, but they have a huge majority of the market when it comes to consoles, and unfortunately they haven't got anyone challenging that market at this point. So they can, and so they do, which is pretty standard when it comes to the games industry at the moment. I think it's a really bad look. I think that they might blame it on tariffs, they might blame it on the economy, but there's absolutely no reason for them to put the prices up by this amount of money. There's no reason at all. There's nothing new in the consoles. They've not changed anything. No. It's still the PlayStation 5 Pro. God, when my PS5 dies, I'm going to be so annoyed that I'm going to have to buy a new one, because I don't want to buy a PlayStation 5 Pro. I've got my on launch PlayStation 5.
Yep, same.
And I love it. It's fine as it is. I don't need a Pro. When it dies, I'm going to be so upset.
It might not die.
It might not die.
I had my PS4 for the entire generation.
Yeah, we have a PS4 and a PS3 that still work. Yeah. So I'm not thinking it's going to die. I just mean when it gets to a point where the games I want to play no longer run on it, that's going to be a really brutal moment for me, because I don't want to give Sony any more money.
I think you're going to see a lot of people go more heavily into PC gaming.
I think so. It makes sense, like obviously having a PC is at first as an outright cost quite a lot of money. But once you've got a PC, you're replacing bits and pieces to keep it up to date with where it's at. You don't need to buy a whole new one every time the game sort of generation increases.
Games are cheaper.
Games are cheaper. They go on sale more often.
You can watch porn more easily as well.
Yeah, you can do other stuff on it.
It's loads of things.
Yeah.
Those are just 2 examples.
And you can
do both of those on the computer.
Yeah.
The computer. like it still sits in the corner of the kitchen at home.
Don't watch porn on the home computer.
No, don't do that. Yeah, I couldn't believe it when I saw this. The rationale is clearly bollocks.
Yeah.
They're doing this because they can. If indeed they're doing it because they think the console is worth more than the Switch, or it's better than the Switch, then why the flipping hell wouldn't you use that as a piece of marketing where it's like, you want to pay this much money for this thing, or do you want to come here where we've got all of these games and it's cheaper? Why not come and hop in the PlayStation pool? There's zero justification for this.
I think also it cuts out a huge market. Like you're saying, when it was cheaper than the Switch 2, that's a whole thing of you can get a Switch 2 or you can get a PlayStation 5 Pro. And if you like more PlayStation games, you're going to go for the PlayStation 5 Pro, and it's cheaper than the Switch. It's not, I don't know why they would do that. They're cutting out an entire market of people who can't afford a Switch 2. Admittedly, it wasn't that much cheaper than the Switch 2, but it was still cheaper in general. And that's just crazy.
We might have to go back a long way before to disprove me here. But as far as I'm aware, we've never seen a mid-generation console price hike, let alone 2. That's shocking. The PS5 launched 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Why has it gone up in price twice in that time?
Yeah.
Why wasn't it more expensive at launch when all COVID stuff was happening? All these things that there's just no justification for it. This was an opportunity for them to market themselves as the cheaper, better option, and they've bungled it. And quite frankly, Xbox shouldn't even dare think about doing the same thing. This is a huge opportunity for
Absolutely
them
massive.
to push the value of Game Pass. And you're right, Series S. get a Series S and you can play all these things. No, it's not portable. But my God, if you're thinking about getting a PlayStation 5, why the hell would you do that unless you're really, really into games at this point? Because they're pricing everyone out. They're pricing the casual market out.
Yeah.
And that's so stupid and boneheaded. And I don't get it.
No, and like I said, there's no PlayStation 5 games coming out. The only game we know at the moment that's a PlayStation 5 exclusive is Ghost of Yotai. There's no other games coming out that are like, oh, I must buy a PlayStation 5 because this game is coming out. 5 years ago, when the PlayStation 5 launched, there was loads of games on the horizon that you could play with the PlayStation 5 is the best possible like place to play it. Now, there's not that many PS5 exclusives coming out. There's nothing confirmed going forward, apart from The Last of Us also again. So like
Wolverine.
But
we don't know anything.
We don't know anything about it. Like there's so many games that like, yeah, well, we're making this, but maybe we're not because we keep cancelling games all the time. So who even knows? It's an absolutely mental thing to do. I cannot wrap my head around. Apart from we wanted more money, so
we want to make more money, but you're going to sell less of them.
I'm not buying one. Why would I? What is the reason?
They're going to kick down your door and smash up your launch PS5 and say, "Now you've got to buy another one." Ha ha ha! And you'll say, "No, I'm going to get another PC."
Yeah, I'm just going to put that money into getting a new graphics card so my PC can run nicer games.
Yeah,
idiot.
I took a little trip on the way back machine.
Oh, yeah.
And I wanted to see, talking about game prices, I wanted to see how much game prices were at the start of the PS4 generation and at the end, by which I mean when the PS5 launched. I know they're still releasing games there. And there's a huge audience because of things like this.
Yeah.
The cost of Destiny to pre-order in 2014 from Game, which wasn't at launch, but very shortly after the PS4's launch, was £47.99. The cost of pre-ordering The Last of Us Part 2 in 2020, the same year the PS5 launched, was $49.99 from game.com or .co.uk, whatever. So that's a difference. I mean, I think that difference is negligible. I wouldn't even say that the price of games went up £2. I think it's just two examples, and Destiny was slightly cheaper.
Mental it is that I'm like, wow, that is so cheap. So I'm like, that's a four at the beginning.
Then we went up to 70.
Yeah.
Now we're up to 80, and I get that this is technically the start of a new generation for Nintendo. But as we talked about last week, floodgates are open now. Anyone can charge anything for anything.
And the conversation obviously being GTA 6 will be £100. Like, it's not... Being a gamer is not a affordable hobby anymore. You can't get every game on launch. Like, going forward... I mean, I don't think I've been getting every game on launch through the last few years, apart from if we're lucky enough to get sent a copy of them. A lot of the time I'm like, I can't really afford to be paying 70 quid every week for games that are coming out. There's so many games coming out and they're so expensive. There's nothing that you can't play all the games. There's a reason games are struggling, and it's because they're so expensive that people just cannot afford to pay for more than one a month. And especially now, we're going into what is a very tumultuous economic time, and you're going to put your prices up now. People can't afford to heat their houses. They're not going to pay an extra 40 quid for a PlayStation 5 Pro. I know the conversation is, well, if you probably already own one. If you're going to own one, you probably own one already. But still, it's a really awful thing to see.
Yeah.
And I hope the prices of the games don't go up, but we're living in a realist society, and unfortunately I think capitalism says it has to keep going up. So
at some point in my lifetime, what I would like to do is reach the point where I still love games and I still play games all the time as my main hobby, but I no longer feel... I break the cycle of abuse from publishers and I just wait a year.
Yeah.
I've literally never been able to do that unless it's a game that I didn't have time for when it came out or that I wasn't that interested in. But hey, I've got some time now. Why not? I'll buy it and give it a go.
Yeah.
It's on sale, etc. I've never done that. And I really envy the people who have the restraint to do that because that is the best time to buy games.
Yeah.
They're cheaper. They got DLC bundled in often.
Unless they're on Nintendo, then
unless you're on Nintendo, of course, yeah. They're patched, so they're not buggy anymore.
Yeah.
They've put in a 4K ray tracing, 60 frames per second mode, etc. Added features, all sorts of stuff. Waiting a year is the way to go, but I just can't do it yet. No. I'm not there yet. No. Mentally, I want to be, but I'm not there yet.
Yeah, also the job doesn't help.
No, it doesn't. It does not help with that.
But hey, hopefully this will be a one-off and maybe Xbox won't follow suit. I think they will be ridiculous to do the same.
Yeah, I think Microsoft has enough money.
They have enough money, indeed. And if they did do that, it'd probably make the headlines.
And it would stink.
It would be so stinky peculiar you wouldn't even believe it.
Oh.
It's time now for weird news.
It's weird news time for some weird video game news. Remember, if you would like to submit some weird video game news to us, you can do so under the relevant social media post that goes out on a Wednesday. However, if you'd like to guarantee a shout out at this point in the podcast, you need to go to patreon.com/Team TripleJump. Support us at the appropriate tier and become a podcast producer just like
Michael Pendlebury,
Andy Scott,
Eric Siu,
Blake Thomas,
Chip Thompson's Thumbs,
Nicole Hansen,
Great Giggity,
GY Goliath,
Gabrielle Philippink,
and Big
Beep.
Money
Beep.
Bobby
Beep.
Vegas.
Beep, 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 beep.
Thank you very much, podcast producers.
It's just one of us, is it?
Wah.
Wah.
Thank you, podcast producers. We appreciate you very much. It's time for weird news. Ashton, do you have some weird news?
Oh, would you believe it? I do.
Good.
It was sent in by
quite annoyed if you didn't, actually.
Snowy Boy Yanni04 Gex on Twitter, by Zach Zvisen from Kotaku. Bethesda is selling 2,000 pieces of Elder Scrolls Online's servers.
Oh.
Yeah. The MMORPG Keepsake is currently available to pre-order for $110. Bethesda's Elder Scrolls Online turned 10 years old a year ago. But that isn't stopping the publisher from celebrating the anniversary a year later by letting players buy an actual piece of the ESO server for $110. Launched in April 2014, ESO has received numerous awards. Blah, 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 blah. And now, Bethesda is going to sell off pieces of the Elder Scrolls Online's original server blades that have since been retired. Exactly 2,000 pieces, in fact. The Elder Scrolls Online 10-year anniversary keepsake. The item consists of a decorative framed plaque with a stick of RAM removed from one of the original servers. Bethesda will sell you this actual piece for Elder Scrolls Online history, and you can pre-order starting today. The actual plaque and the RAM won't be delivered until July, though. This is what it looks like.
That's quite pretty.
It is quite pretty.
I don't think that's too bad of a price.
No, to be honest, it's not.
If you're a mega fan, that's actually pretty reasonable.
Yeah, there's only 2,000 of them.
When I worked in the Yogscast offices, they had a big plaque frame thing that had a bit of or it was the server. I'm not entirely sure how servers work, to be honest. It was a bit of the server that they used to play on back in the day.
Cute.
And they had it in their office, and I thought that was quite cool.
That is quite cool.
I did also see a comment under the post about this where someone was saying, it's great for preservation, but it's horrible for preservation. Because they've smashed up their server and taken it to pieces. Yeah,
they've taken a drill to it and just undone it and
that's
then
pretty cool,
sawed it in half.
I think it's weird, but
it is weird.
I think it's nice. It's a presentable looking plaque, gold with a wooden frame.
It says 10 on it.
Yeah, it says 10 on it,
Lovely.
even though it's 11 now.
Even though it's 11.
Bollocks.
Yeah. There was a few people who submitted news about Minecraft movie, but I just didn't want to talk about the cinemas again.
We've already. Yeah, I mean, I
was like, it is weird that they're having to put a thing at the beginning of the movie, but
disclaimer. I've got some weird news.
Well, that's good.
This comes from Jonathan Wong on Facebook, Top Fan Relation. This is an article by Jack Yarwood on Time Extension. Limited Run Games is releasing Doom and Doom 2 in a box that can run Doom. We've done it. We've come full circle. You didn't like that one?
I know, I do like it.
Oh, that was a real laugh, was it?
No, it wasn't.
Okay, it didn't sound like a real laugh.
It's just the fact that, like, you know, the whole meme of Doom running on everything. Like, I fear we've done it now.
Are your sides not splitting with laughter?
Yeah, they hurt so bad they're splitting.
Oh, goodness. Well, sorry. I'll try and get through this quickly so you don't spill your guts all over the floor.
I'm going to suffocate from laughter.
Limited Run Games has announced that it will soon be releasing various physical editions of Bethesda, Night Dive, and id Software's Doom and Doom 2 collection for collectors to get their hands on. This includes the standard edition, blah, blah, blah. Blah, blah, blah. And an additional big box version priced at $99 featuring all of the previously mentioned platforms alongside a download code for PC and extras like trading cards and a cassette tape soundtrack set. Neither of the I thought that was the one. Neither of these, however, is the most interesting version that Limited Run Games is offering, with the video game distributor revealing one final edition, which it is affectionately referring to as the Will It Run Edition. This is a
What? Will It Run Edition?
Will It Run Edition. You can laugh now if you want.
Oh, that's good.
This is a physical collection that pays tribute to one of the Doom community's longest-running jokes, its ongoing effort to port Doom to ever more increasingly obscure and ridiculous hardware.
Yeah.
The Will It Run edition is priced at $666.66 and is limited to only 666 copies, meaning it will likely be a bit of a pain to get a hold of and even more painful for people's wallets. It includes all of what we've listed above for the big box version, as well as a Cacodemon statue, a Cacodemon miniature handheld that can run Doom, and a box that Limited Run Games is claiming can also run Doom.
Yeah, because they've stuck a Raspberry Pi in it.
Due to Limited Run Games' recent issue with quality control, we would have personally loved to have seen the big box and Cacodemon handheld in action in a video of some sort, especially given the high price that it's asking for. Nevertheless, we don't doubt that it will be an instant sellout once it goes on sale. So it's a box that plays Doom, but it's also got Doom in it.
Yeah. Cool. Well, that's fine.
Where's your whimsy gone?
I'm sorry. I'm feeling a bit whimsyless today.
Oh, my goodness me. Well,
I guess it's because we just talked about Sony and that put me in a bad mood.
yeah, to be fair, it wasn't the best news. However, that's weird.
It is weird.
And if you don't want to spend $100 on a server blade, you can spend nearly $700 on a box that might play Doom.
Yeah, or just spend £7 on a pregnancy test and then just run it on the pregnancy test.
That's brilliant. Again, you could say
Actually, you probably
fix
need
the world with the,
one of the more expensive pregnancy tests that are like 20 quid.
Oh, well, I mean, at that point, you might as well spend $700.
You might as well just get the box, yeah.
So what's the point?
Yeah.
It's time now for the big discussion. It's big discussion time for the big video game discussion that this week comes courtesy of Chris McVeigh, who says, hi, Bap, or just Bar again, is it?
Yes, hello.
It is. Following the Oblivion remaster that is definitely, absolutely, for sure shadow dropping on the 21st, it has now been suggested that a remaster of Fallout 3 is next. Do you think that remastering these older titles helps or hinders the reputation of these series at the moment? TES 6 is in the limbo that it is, and we know Fallout 5 is what they'll be doing after that, which could easily be 10 plus years away. And all the while, the shadow of Starfield's mediocre engagement hangs over these long-term projects. Does remastering these old favourites help keep the hype high while the wait for new games continues, or does it reinforce the idea that Bethesda's best days are behind them? Thank you, Chris. I've got a bit of a write-up here because not only do we have the whole trust me, bro, it's coming any day now, bro. It's happening.
I promise.
It's shadow dropping next week, I promise. We've heard that like 14 times now. This week we did get a load of leaked screenshots and sort of marketing art and things. So
I just feel like I've been, burned before. I feel I don't trust people anymore because they lied to me about the Oblivion remake all the time.
Oh, but trust them, bro. It's any day now, bro. It's coming. Next week for sure.
Okay.
For sure. The same week as Claire Obscure, another Xbox Game Pass game. Trust me.
Trust me, bro.
It'll be fine.
Yeah.
I've got a bit of a write-up here that details some of the stuff that was leaked this week and potentially some of the features that we could get. So yes, this is from Push Square. The imminent reveal of a remastered version of The Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion has now leaked via Virtuous's website. The heavily rumoured edition is now, without doubt, a real thing. Screenshots and marketing materials have been found. Its official name is The Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion Remastered, which very quickly doesn't really look like a remaster, does it? It looks like a bit more than that.
Yeah, I wouldn't call it a remaster.
I'm not entirely sure why they've labelled it that way. And there'll be a standard and deluxe edition on offer. The images are quite blurry, so it's difficult to tell, but it appears the deluxe edition will offer additional weapons and armor sets, and even an infamous set of horse armor.
Yay!
All the speculation surrounding the release points to an April 2025 announcement and launch all at once, with the latest claim being it's coming at some point next week. And then in brackets, trust me, bro. A months-old leak regarding gameplay overhauls actually came from a former employee of Virtuous, the developer that we now know is behind the Oblivion remaster, since the latest leaks came from the company's own website. The ex-employee had listed a number of gameplay-based improvements on a kind of resume page that was quickly taken down once word got out. It had claimed that mechanics surrounding actions like archery, sneaking, and blocking had been overhauled. Better on-hit animations were also mentioned, presumably resulting in a more modern-feeling experience across the board. So it's probably safe to assume that the Oblivion remaster will boast enhancements beyond its obvious graphical leap. Now, those things are interesting to me.
Yes.
Because in the context of the question about we've got these games that they're working on that are years and years away and so on, is there a chance that this might actually include changes that people prefer to whatever it is that they're working on, so much so that it actively influences the development internally at Bethesda, where they're like, oh God, they really like this new parry system.
Yeah.
And we haven't got that. We've got the same running animation that we've had for 15 years, though. So, they love that. Do you reckon there's a chance that actually this ends up coming out? Because I'm an Oblivion sicko.
Yeah,
I love it. I'd play it regardless of its quality, quite frankly.
Yeah.
But if it comes out and people are like, oh my God, this is actually really good. This feels like a new Bethesda RPG. Is that going to completely piss in Bethesda's cornflakes, so to speak?
I mean, maybe, but they're like, we're still far enough off whatever they are making for it to be, I assume, easy enough to implement. And given that Virtuous are working technically for Xbox and Bethesda, I'm sure if they went, we want that code, give to us. Give to us, please. They will probably do that. To answer the question, I don't think something like this is negative for the Elder Scrolls franchise. I think it's good. We've talked about before about like the sort of in-between times of big releases at companies, your Final Fantasy VII remake and rebirth having Final Fantasy, whatever it's called in the middle. What's the Zack one called?
The Zack one. Oh, Crisis Core.
Crisis Core. Yeah. As a slightly smaller, slightly easier remake/remaster. How we talked about Spider-Man having the smaller Miles Morales game in between the two big Spider-Man games. I'm very much for a little morsel of something in between my two big dinners. So I think that it's a good thing that this is happening. I think that it is potentially going to give an older game to a new generation of people who maybe haven't played the original Oblivion because they just couldn't, it's difficult to sort of go back and play that now with all the quality of life stuff we have in modern games. I think maybe it will show Bethesda what people like you were saying, whether we'll see this as something that they're like, damn it, everyone really likes the changes they've made. I guess we're going to have to try a bit harder and adjust our foolproof plan of it always plays like this. I don't see this as a bad thing at all. I think this is good in a lot of ways. Bethesda aren't working on it themselves, so it's not taking people off the team who are working on Elder Scrolls 6 or Fallout, whatever. They're still working on whatever they are working on. So I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it's, adds on to the whole discussion of, is everything a remaster or a remake or a sequel at this point? But that is an entirely different conversation to have regarding the entire industry more so than just Bethesda. Yeah,
and you have to remember that this is a game that I like, so that conversation doesn't matter to me right now because this is for me, so everyone shut up.
Yeah.
They can remake my favorite games until the cows come home, quite frankly. But if they remake something that I'm not such a big fan on,
I will criticize it.
I'm going to be really cross about it, quite frankly. They are definitely fighting from underneath at the moment.
Yeah.
Bethesda, they have been not on a losing streak, but their reputation has taken a battering since Fallout 76, really.
Yeah.
And there have been bright spots. I know when Starfield came out, initially the response was really positive. We had a whole podcast about it where we sat around gushing about it because I was really enjoying it. And then I wasn't.
Yeah.
And then nobody else seemingly was. And then
MB still plays it all the time.
James Jenkins loves it.
I'm like, what are you doing in that
game? Get off Starfield. There's, the DLC that came out, Shattered Space, wasn't
people didn't really
particularly
like that
well
much.
Received. Yeah. And it's like Todd Howard's ultimate game that he's always wanted to make. And it's like, ooh.
Todd, this was your best?
We haven't had an Elder Scrolls, apart from spin-offs and online
Remasters
and stuff
and, yeah.
since 2011. We haven't had a Fallout game since, apart from Fallout 76, since 2015.
Yeah,
It's
something
been a
like
long time, and those games are their, at least for the modern age, their bread and butter.
Yeah.
And they really need to come out swinging and get back into the fight and show we can still do this. Like this
Yeah.
is that we are still Bethesda. We can still make incredible games. But as long as we've been doing this podcast, Peter and I have been talking about how The Witcher 3 changed everything.
Yeah.
Like it makes Skyrim look, and I know that people love Skyrim and will always go back to Skyrim. It makes, especially in the combat department and the maturity of the storytelling and the characters, it makes the Elder Scrolls look like a baby game.
RPGs,
It makes it look so dated. They've come so far.
Yeah, they've changed so much. You can't get away with sort of middling RPGs anymore. Like Baldur's Gate 3 shifted the idea of like what a narrative can be in a game.
Yeah.
And like you say, The Witcher changed things up with like combat and the setting. They are entering a space now that has moved on from what Elder Scrolls Skyrim was. So I think that they are going to have a difficult time with that in particular, because there's just so much out there now that shows what RPGs can do. Fallout, I think they might have an easier time with, because there's not as many that fall into that sort of genre category in terms of like the post-apocalyptic wasteland nuclear sort of situation. They have a very specific vibe with Fallout that I don't think many other things really meet. But Skyrim is in a fantasy RPG world that is full now of really great examples of what could be done. And I think they have to make sure the Elder Scrolls 6 is going to be something special, or they'll be in trouble.
Yeah, I agree, especially as it's been in development for so long.
Yeah.
I'm still kind of shocked that we didn't, and I know I'm saying this like, just make another one. But that engine that they made Skyrim in, they could have made the Elder Scrolls 6 in that. They could have made Fallout 5 in the Fallout 4 engine and had it in a, I know game development's really complicated, but clearly they weren't working on them at the time. If they'd dedicated, if that was their priority, we could have had the Elder Scrolls 6 before the end of that decade. We could have had Fallout 5 before the end of that decade quite comfortably, I would have imagined, if again, they just made it in the same engine and didn't. And that would get its own criticism. And quite frankly, Fallout 5 and Elder Scrolls 6 will come out, and they will have a huge amount of supporters and a huge following, just because of the not because of the nature of the IP, but also because if they don't change that much, it will be comforting to a lot of people, because it's like, oh, it's a Bethesda RPG, great.
Yeah.
But they learned that space, like a dry space environment, kind of barren, without much whimsy, didn't really do it.
No.
However, I think that there's more scope for them to get away with that in an Elder Scrolls world or in a Fallout world. So I have no idea how those games are going to come together, and whether or not they will take a lot of lessons from where the genre has moved in the past decade and a half. But certainly, it sounds like a lot of work has been put into this Oblivion not remake, even though it's definitely a remake, to modernize it. The screenshots look gorgeous. The new features obviously are significant as well.
Yeah.
I have so many questions though. Like, is the voice acting the same? Is it still like 5 voice actors?
Well, maybe that's why they can't call it a remake.
Maybe.
Because they've not shifted as much of it as...
Because that's a huge amount of its charm.
Yeah.
Is like, it's janky voice acting.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? Whenever we see like remasters or remakes of games like this that have a certain jank to them, that nowadays, like, you can't get away with that.
Yeah.
But at the time it was like, yeah, this is great. Do you bring it up to the modern standard and hire an entire team of voice actors to revoice all the characters? Or do you leave it and be like, this is what God intended it to be?
I think it would be really funny, but I think it would be to the detriment of reviews if there's this mismatch between like Unreal Engine 5
the game
faces,
looks gorgeous,
and then they go, hello, traveler, and all the lines where in Oblivion, which we've done so many lists about, where they've kept the flubs in accidentally. If they just move all those files over, it's going to be really jarring.
Yeah.
The one thing I hope they don't touch is the music. I don't think that needs redoing. The music in Oblivion is perfect. It's gorgeous. It's fine. You don't need to do anything to that. But I would understand if they did fiddle with the voice acting, as much as it would make me sad.
Yeah.
I think it would just be too weird to have it look that good and sound
that bad.
That bad. Yeah. Exactly.
I think that like Bethesda's reputation is not as bad at this point as other studios are. Naughty Dog's reputation right now is in the pits. Like, it's awful.
Release a game
that isn't just The Last of Us again. I think that right now Bethesda they need a win. They need this to be really well received, but not to the detriment of like, see what people can do if Bethesda didn't just do what Bethesda do all the time. But I think if this goes down well, I think it'll be a really good thing for them. And I don't think it's going to necessarily affect things too much.
For what it's worth, I'm really glad that they have kept this quiet for as long as they have. I know that we know almost everything about it from leaks, and we've known that it exists in some capacity for a little while now.
Yeah.
But the fact that it could be, like this time next week, I could be playing a remaster of Oblivion, it's really exciting, because I would have just taken a port. I would have just put some trophies in it and port it to PS5. I would have bought that. I would have played that. This is way more than that.
Don't tell them that.
And I'm quite excited. Well, I'll buy it again. I'll buy it as many times as you want. The one thing, though, again, going back to not really answering the question, but just talking about this, is that certainly the screenshots that have been shown look a bit moodier than the original Oblivion. Because that's one thing that I love going back to Oblivion over Skyrim. One of the main reasons I prefer playing Oblivion to Skyrim is because Oblivion is so colourful.
Yeah.
And it is very saturated in its colour. You know, you emerge from the sewer at the start. There's this gorgeous like vista where there's a ruin, like a pearly white ruin in front of you. It's on a little island surrounded by this beautiful blue water and these green rolling hills. And it's like, oh, this is so lovely. And you go to Skyrim and it's just murky all the time.
They're
it's
like,
such
mud.
It's such a dingy and dark game, which works, you know, it's fine.
Yeah.
But I prefer how Oblivion looks to Skyrim in a lot of ways. And certainly the screenshots are more, because they're more realistic, it does look a bit darker, and I hope there's some way to make it a bit brighter, maybe mucking about with the settings or something. But
I'm sure there will be.
I'm really excited for this, and I really hope it's good. I don't know that it would, as you say, harm Bethesda necessarily.
No.
I think people might say, oh, you know, the usual grumbles like, oh, well, at least we got a flipping Elder Scrolls game. It's not even made by Bethesda, you know, all that kind of stuff. But I'm optimistic. I'm optimistic for it.
I think that the people who've got the easiest job are the marketing department for the Oblivion remake.
Yeah.
Because they've not got to say nothing. They're like, the game's out now.
Itself.
You've not stopped talking about it for literally months. We talked about this earlier, like, oh, we were talking about maybe doing news and stuff. I was like, the only news story is Oblivion. And there's only so many times we can say Oblivion might be coming soon. It was like every week another thing was being announced. And I was like, we can't keep talking about Oblivion.
Yeah.
So
it's over soon, hopefully. We swear,
Fingers
bro.
crossed.
We swear. We promise.
Imagine if it does come out on the 21st. That'd be it'd be crazy for them to announce that ahead of Claire Obscura, which I think comes out on the 22nd.
That's such a dick move as well.
It would be very interesting.
Why would you do that?
Putting an RPG against another RPG.
Yeah, a beloved all-timer RPG.
Yeah.
Everyone wants to play.
Against a brand new IP. Admittedly, like, Xbox don't own that, so I guess maybe they're like, who cares? But also, it would be a real weird move to do that.
I can see them doing it, and I can see everyone putting their head in their hands like, why did you do that?
The poor French team behind Claire Obscura are just like,
God.
why have you done? No. Is it?
Yeah.
I'm just going to double check it is
What?
happening on what dates? The
I think
24th.
it's definitely next week.
Yeah, it's like, so 3 days after a potential Oblivion remaster.
Absolutely just insanity, quite frankly.
Yeah.
Well, there we are. Thus concludes this week's podcast. Thank you so much for joining us. There's a few places around the internet you can find us. Ashton's going to tell you Three of them now.
I am youtube.com and twitch.tv/Team TripleJump for all of our content. Our live streams are mostly on Twitch and our videos are all on YouTube, so check those out. And if you have Amazon Prime, you get a free Twitch sub, so why not spend that on us? Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok and Blue Sky, on all of which we are Team TripleJump, so come and say hey over there if you'd like.
Yes. Patreon.com/Team TripleJump. All sorts of rewards over there. Go check them out. TripleJ.mup is our website. There you can find links to everything that we do. And TripleJU.mp/video game will take you to a Steam page where you can wishlist the video game that we're working on right now. Why not leave a 5-star review on your platform of choice? It helps. Something to do with Al Gore's rhythms. And there's just enough time to talk about this week's sponsor again.
Yes, of course.
Which, of course, if you can't wait for the potential ruining of Claire Obscure
Expedition
33 next week because the Oblivion remaster's out. You can instead right now play Deirdre Obscure Expedition 32. Give it a go. All right, everyone, have a lovely weekend. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.